Hey, you guys, welcome to the Be Insightful in Technology podcast. I'm your host, Shikirah Johnson, and I'm here to help gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be insightful in technology. Today, we have one of my old friends from high school on here, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we'll get into the episode.
Hi, I'm Samuel Foster. I do IT, and that is what I do.
When you picture those awkward individuals that talk about IT, Sam is one of them, and I just mean that lightly. So, since he does IT, can you explain like your day to day, what you do, some of your favorite things that you have taken into some of your positions?
So on my day to day, it could be like help desk or networking, some systems provisioning, maintenance, stuff like that. Pretty much like a sysadmin role without the title.
Okay, so what level are you currently at your current role?
I guess it would be junior level, right? Because it's me and my manager are the only two people in the department. So
Oh,
I'm
so it's
called.
really small.
Yes,
It's really small.
it sucks sometimes.
So, what kind of company are you at? Like, what do they do?
It's an engineering firm. They do engineering. They design things for firms, and then they send people to go build those things. I really couldn't tell you.
I
That's
was
as
about
far.
to say, like, engineering is so broad. Like, engineering itself is like to create pretty much. So I'm like, is it software? Are they setting out like designs for, hardware layouts and stuff like that? Like,
Yeah, exactly. The second one you said. It's like when you tell somebody I'm an engineer, it is that. It is what you think about. That is them. Yeah.
okay, okay, we need more clarification over here. So, how did you get into IT? Where did it all start for you?
Well, because you met me there. um, yeah, I've been doing IT. Like I've had interest in computers since I was like younger, and then I came to high school, and the one we went to was pretty bad. The high school course we went to was pretty bad. But then they had the Career Academy, RCA. I don't know if you've talked about that on your podcast before. And then we had a teacher, and he basically taught us like the CompTIA A plus, N plus, and some Cisco stuff. And that's where it really started off, me learning Linux and stuff, how to do system administration on my own, and obviously programming from. We had a programming class. That was a terrible time, but yeah, the program.
So, okay, with that, you've had an interest in computers since young. Did you get more of like a hands-on experience when we got into the class, or were you like always tampering with your stuff beforehand?
Definitely when we got into the class because I didn't know where to start. My knowledge was basically, turning on and off a computer, how to navigate through Windows. I hadn't even really used Linux before we got to Fields class. So yeah,
That's because you seem like one of the smartest people in the class. Like you've had more hands-on work with, even before we even got there. So I'm surprised to hear you say
I
that.
tried my hardest. That's all it is. I tried my hardest. That's all it was.
Like I'm so surprised by that because I really did think you were like up there.
I didn't know. Genuinely did not know. Command line, like I didn't even know PowerShell, no command line, nothing. I just knew how to like look around Windows, and I knew how to use a web browser. Like, yeah. All I did was like pay attention. That's it.
The main thing in the class, paying attention. Boy, do you remember when he was going through people's computers and just like, when we had to lock our desktops when we were
Yeah.
building them, and like he would break the locks, like you need to protect your stuff more. I'm like,
Oh my
what? Nobody to go around here picking the lock.
that was a wild class.
Yeah, it taught me a lot though. Like definitely got me to where I am now pretty much. And so how did you actually I want to talk about your interview process because that's where I am now. I'm going through more interviews just at companies before I route to the people that I know to get help pretty much. It's like I want to try it on my own, see what I'm good at, see what I'm not. And then if all else fails, I'll just network myself into another role. But how has your interview process been, or your job hunt process after high school?
Ah, after high school, I mean, we've been out of high school for like 2.5 years now, right? Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
No, it should be we should be coming up on
Is it
3 years.
3 now? Yeah,
Should-
it's got to be 3.
Haven't really done much job hunting except for past 4 months. When I got out of high school, I tried to find a job, and I found that one like a month or two after I started. But I started in the January. I started in my second semester. I kind of saw.
Mhm.
Uh, it is difficult. A lot of the stuff we learned, if we hadn't taken fields class, I would have been screwed. A lot of the stuff you learn in college just isn't like you're going to be working help desk when you get out, pretty much guaranteed, unless you really, really try. So it was pretty hard. Even the most recent job hunt I did was pretty difficult. Uh, but if I didn't know what I know, I would have been doing help desk. So yeah.
Okay, so what is it? Did you go through somebody, like you talk to somebody who's in the role, or did you just apply to places, or do you do any temp jobs, contract? Are you hired on full time? I'm getting all opinions, so tell me what's up.
It's fine as long as you don't ask for my SSN, we're all good.
I would
Uh,
never. I would not now. Not while we're recording, but
while we're recording, for sure. um, I am kind of stupid, so I applied to like 200 something places. I didn't do any of the traditional, oh, you have to know somebody. I just tried my hardest. Eventually, I ran into a wall where, okay, I'm not getting enough callbacks. My resume is trash. So then I kept improving it until I was getting people to interview me. And something I learned was they don't really care about your resume. It's pretty much just like, oh, okay, this person can actually, this person is worthy of my time to talk to. As soon as you get in front of them, you can just like say whatever. It's pretty much up to personality at that point. And then if it's a technical interview, being able to competently answer most of the questions.
yes, that like when it came to the resume, my resume was long. It was like 3 pages. But the thing is, like, I kept getting callbacks on my resume. Yes, like even if it was 3 pages, I kept getting callbacks. But when you apply to jobs, they use that system where they pretty much feed out keywords, and then if you have the keywords, it'll send it to actual recruiter. But I was getting pretty much a good callback on that. So when I did finally change it, which was very recent, because now I'm like, I've been 2 years at my current job. I'm ready to start shifting to something. I feel like 2 years is like the limit, but that's if you're not trying to grow up. But if your company's not fulfilling like your needs, it is time to move on. But the whole job application thing, like right after high school, I was so depressed because after the internship, I did not have a job and was not going to school. And when you don't have a job and when you're not going to school and when you have this piling up, it's crazy.
You were living on your own?
No, I was living with my mom, my sister, and like my mom had like this boyfriend who moved in. And the thing is, life after high school was like we got evicted after, and I was just like, I do not want to go through this stuff again. Like, do not want to go through none of this to find me a job that's paying well and all that. And it was something that really was like, I need to get on this. I can't I can't do this no more. I need a job. So it was pretty much like that same day I think we got evicted is when I think I got a call from like the Wellstar Go Live thing. It was something with tech systems. And like, when can you start and all that. So I started. It was only 2 weeks long, but after 2 weeks, I got my current full-time role with the company I'm at now. So it was just like, okay, I did something to get some experience because nobody really counts internships, and I don't want to say internships are bad. They're like, this is for people who are trying to enter the field, but it's like when you finally get past that intern phase where you meet some big girls, some big man money, is you just have to do what you have to do. Recruit agencies have been pretty good at using that experience and actually marketing you in the best way. If you can't market yourself right, can I say it like that?
The
But
way
yeah.
I counteracted that, just don't call yourself an intern. Make
Yeah,
sure you're,
true.
and then I worked as hard as I possibly could at my job, just doing anything, getting my hands on anything I could, so I could actually learn how to use it. So I just put it on my resume and keyword spam, and then you'll get some callbacks. Maybe it's from some guy who works at a warehouse. He's calling. He's like, we have a help desk job for you for $13 an hour. Or maybe it's a 90K a year for some sysadmin position. Who knows? Keywords.
Like the resume really just, if as long as it's filled with keywords, it'll get you past that system. And that's really what you want. You want to speak to somebody. If you know you can do the job, you really have to get set to speak to somebody. And that showed me, it was great and all. But how is it? Okay, I
Mhm.
feel like that I know what I can do and I know I can do it well. Like, but it's like going through all the phone calls, all the interviews. How did you portray that? How did you, okay, so what do you went through the normal process for the job right now, like applying, talking to somebody, interviewing, getting
No backhand deals, nothing. It was pretty rough.
when you did that, did you negotiate your salary?
For the for the one I took, yeah, I
Mhm.
negotiated because
How did you negotiate?
it was really funny, man. I was like, I need to change my resume, and I did. And I went and copied somebody's resume, the format. I was like, okay, how are they grammarly wording their stuff? I'm like, okay, I need to copy the language they used. So I changed that up, and then I copied it, and I put it on mine. And so I was like, okay, I got to remove this on my resume, blah blah blah. So I fixed it, and I spammed every single opening I could find for the next week. And then after that, the week after that, or a week or two, I got so many callbacks. It was ridiculous. So what ended up happening was I did so many interviews. I got to the point where I got to the last stage. I had one offer from AT&T, and then that offer was high enough so where it was higher than another one I was going to get. But the other one I wanted to get, I wanted it more, but they were going to give me less. So I told them, okay, somebody's offering this. I counter offered, and then they called back and they're like, all right, we matched. And I was like, okay, whatever. I was,
Look, I've been doing my research on it because, like, me coming from a working, I would say we're on the, less than middle class end. I have not heard of anybody negotiate their salary from like my family. They just take what they're given. So when I got into like the corporate world, because I didn't know that I could negotiate. I was pretty much like, oh, they're offering me higher than what this is, I should go get it. But even if they're offering me higher than what I was making, I'm still at the lowest. Like I've noticed like at each job that I've at, I am the lowest paid every single time. And
they're
I'm nosy. Yes, like, oh my God. So at this point, I'm going through interviews and I'm making sure I negotiate. So when it does go a role that I actually want, I make sure I get what I deserve. Because
bro.
even if, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the position I was about to take, I'm like, yeah, I want like 70 to 80. And then they come back, they're like, we want to offer you the position. We're gonna put you at 70K. I'm like, you're not even gonna try? Like, I'm like, what? Like,
Like,
dude, bro, they will pay you as little as possible. Like, unless you absolutely knock it out of the interview, they will pay you as little as possible because they can. And that's what's in their business interests.
so I'm just like, even with that, I realized my patience running so thin. Like I be ready to. I'm the type of person where it's like if I'm applying to something, I need to know the pay range up front. Like don't even waste my time.
They'll try not to tell you too. That's the crazy part. You'll ask and they'll be like, well, it depends on what you want, you know? Okay, I want you to tell me what I'm gonna be making. Like, dude, stop. And then
Bro.
there was this one time, this Linux data center position. I didn't know how little data center technicians got paid. So I'm sitting here, I'm going through all the interview. I absolutely knock it out of the park. And then the man calls me like 20 minutes after the interview. He's like, oh, we just wanted to call you about some logistics. We're out, just call you to ask you. He's like, what's your salary range? I'm like, oh, probably like 70 to 80K, something like that. He's like, oh, you're way out of the range. It's like 18 to low 20s. I'm like, oh my God, dude. you cannot be serious right now. Like,
right? Like it's it saves so much time just telling people the salaries up front. I'm just going to be honest because especially if they're currently working, like my role is network operations and it is basically bottom of the barrel. It's like another version of help desk. But it's also in other places, they're paying like 70 plus for this role, and I'm not making 70 plus for this role. So I'm like, I need to leave. And even like with me being the lowest paid on my team, I'm seeing that we're still nowhere near the market value of the role. And it's making me think like, okay, I came in here, I got my experience, I'm ready to dip. I'm ready to dip. Like I was just with the company because I was in a hardship, like the year that I got the job, and now it's well past that. I'm graduated and I'm ready to find something better. That's all it is. I am like so
they don't care about like even
they
if
do not.
cool with your boss or whatever, you're cool with the company, they will pay you as little as possible without fail all the time. It's actually crazy.
Exactly.
It's just shocking. It's like, wow. Yeah.
Right? It's like I want to talk about this conversation so much because it's so important. Like Black women are the least to negotiate their salaries overall, period. Like after I read that, I was just like, dang. It's the fact that I just didn't know. And people around me just didn't know either. So it's like, how was I gonna know? So now I'm like, okay, I'm trying to make sure everybody know. Every one of us is my every one of my mamas, aunties, everything. They need to go ahead and say, hey, I need a raise. I've been here this long. I do this, and this for the company. I bring value here. I need a higher amount. Like they lowball us for the fun of it and they know we're not gonna fight back. But I'm like, it's not fight back. Ain't no more of that, more of this. So
The best way to get a raise is to quit your job. In IT, that is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm in that point now. That's facts. It's like go out.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say you can go out and interview for other places and come back with an offer and then come back to your job. Like say a lot of times, I'm gonna say it's like women in particular, it really comes down to the benefits, like the health insurance and stuff, because when they put their families on their health insurance, so it's like shifting all that in another position, it just causes a lot of work. So if you come back with the offer and they can meet it, all cool and dandy. But if not, not
What I learned from because I went crazy. You know, four straight months of just like applying, like it was wild. I learned that, you know, even if they were to counteroffer, like statistically, they let you. A lot of people get let go after the fact they get a raise because why are they giving you a raise now? Like, think about it, why? They had no reason that they weren't even going to do it. But as soon as you came back, oh, I'm going to leave. So they're pretty much, in a lot of cases, not every case, in a lot of cases, it's like, oh, now I have time to prepare for them to leave, so I can cover myself, so I can go ahead and fire them and get somebody who's actually going to stay. So yeah, it's something to think about too.
Like we had so much struggle bringing someone on this team because they lowball and you got to come in the office. You know everybody else is remote and it's just like this is already low. Got to come in the office and nobody wants it. It's like if I'm gonna be working from home, you know, I don't have to drive. I don't have to do as much moving as I, you know, be used to or before the pandemic. I can deal with something a little lower because I'm not out and about all the time. But if I am out, I'm spending money to get there. I'm spending money to leave. Eating there, giving y'all all my coins. Like, no, me need so much more.
I'm glad I work like 15 minutes away from my job because I just go there and it's like whatever. But I know like one position I was about to take, they offered it to me. It was like it was in like what's it, Fort Benning, which is in Columbus, 3 hours away from
3 hours?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was like this can't go. I rejected them and they called me back. Basically got his manager to come and beg me to come in.
That is just too far. It's unreasonable, especially if it's on site. It's too far. What is your
Like
max amount
my max amount
of driving time?
preferably zero, bro. You know, like 30 to 40 minutes. Like if you push it like an hour, I'm not gonna I'm not going to be spending my time 2 hours to go to work every day. That's ridiculous. I was going to move to Columbus, but even then, that would have been a logistics nightmare for where I'm at right now. So like, yeah,
Oh, so is that somewhere you wanted to move before like that job?
no. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know what formatting was. I was like, oh, okay, job, Linux, cool. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Since we went through the same program, but you did the programming side too, what did you expect when you graduated?
Uh, I expected college to be harder than it was, and I also expected getting a job to be much easier, but it wasn't. So it's probably easier for me and you to get jobs because we had prior experience. But yeah, college is kind of so. I don't want to like this. College is a wonderful thing. You need to get your degree. That's important. But college is like just like it's not. I didn't really learn much from being here. I'm doing the capstone right now. I don't know how it was for you, but I'm doing the research paper for GTRI. It's horrible. Like, yeah, it's just like you don't really learn anything that's going to put you above help desk level when you get out. So it's constantly just like, oh, do you want to learn C sharp? Oh, do you want to learn Java? Here, we're going to teach you some Microsoft SQL. Okay. And then by the time you're in your senior year, it's like, oh, here's your capstone. And like one thing, I'm doing my capstone right now. The group who did it before me, they have like their poster up on the wall. They didn't finish their project. They literally did not finish.
Okay, so okay, we took the same major, so you're probably in like the same capstone area with everything. So the GTRI, that was so different. Like I think they said they picked those people already, but I did just a different project, and we didn't finish either. We didn't finish either. Like
No way, bro. You serious? What?
we did not. So we basically got to a good enough standpoint because the teacher was really grading off of effort. So we got to a good enough standpoint we could talk about the subject, and then we did not finish. Like we were supposed to have a whole prototype and everything. We didn't do all that. We barely had code to run. So
Bro,
it,
I'm halfway done with my capstone right now, and the teacher's mad at me, bro. It's wild. Like we have our project is deploying operating systems or whatever. So since I do that, I was like, okay, I got it. My group's basically like, I'm the only one who knows how to do it. We're like 80% done with the project. The teacher's like, no, you can't do that. Like, he's like, you have to put in per person 7 to 9 hours a week on this capstone. Okay, dude. It's really
it's
funny.
it's like they prepare you to just work. Like for our capstone, since we didn't know nothing about our subject, like our project like manager, whatever it was, he was an electrical engineer, and everybody else was in IT. So I was like, I don't know how to do nothing from what you're thinking about. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not on the electrical
Were you
engineering side.
on the Alexa project? Was that the one you had?
No, we was on the wireless broadband, joint baseband, whatever that was. It was basically using machine learning to do certain things, but
Oh,
I didn't
definitely.
know nothing about machine
Why
learning.
are they putting CS stuff in an IT degree for a capstone, bro? I'm so confused.
And it's like I did not take any concentrations, and I'm like, I wanted to get out as soon as possible, cheap, and finish, go ahead and get into the workforce. But when it came to like everybody else in the project, they didn't know what I was doing either. So I'm
Bro,
like,
they don't teach you. They literally do not teach you.
so I'm
They
seeing.
drop this big. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, my bad. Your sound was going out. So what were you saying?
They drop this big gigantic project on you, gigantic, and they're like, "Oh, this will teach you." And what ends up happening is nobody does anything until like the last week, and then you come and you don't even finish the project. They're like, you get a B," and you go into the workforce and you work help desk. That's what happens.
It's like with the projects, they just shift them on to the next group. Like you're experiencing right now, they just shift it on to the next people coming in.
Jesus, like
But with all that, I can say, um, once I got the degree, because I graduated with my associates too, and like I was basically trying to get a job because I had my associates like that same year we graduated high school. So I'm like, okay, they're telling me I need a bachelor's degree, and I get my bachelor's degree. They're telling me I need more experience, and I'm just like fed up. I am fed up. I'm like, I went through all this just for y'all to tell me I need more experience, but I'm like, this is an entry level role paying like what less $20 an hour. Please tell me why I need more experience.
Dude, they're like lying to you, bro. It's like the
Right?
HR when you that first level is you speaking to HR, they just relay what they heard from the hiring manager. So like for me, it was just like, okay, you know what? I'll just stuff my resume, keywords, and then you'll be like, he's missing like 5 years of experience, but he does have all this stuff we're using. I'll pass him on. And then the hiring manager's like, whoa, this guy's impressed. Yeah, because I'm talking to an IT person and not HR. That's just how it's gonna have to be.
So even with all of that, like it is very I feel like my journey has been rocky. Like when I was looking for the job, it was rocky. After I got the job, it was like a call center help desk is terrible. I'm sorry. It's just terrible.
It's so bad. Oh my god.
It's like, okay, at first I just needed some money and I really needed that experience. So I'm like, okay, I'll take this role and I'm gonna learn what I need to. I'm gonna get in and find a way out. And then I find my way out to another husband. I'm just like, can I get out? Like even now I'm interviewing for like network engineer roles or consulting roles because I want to move out of help desk call center based roles. I just want to move out of call center based roles.
um with with networking a lot, what you'll find is they really want you to be like on your hands and knees in the data center. From what I've seen, they just want you to be like messing with the equipment. So that does involve a lot. Even in system administration, 70K, 80K on call. They'll have an on call rotation. It's wild.
Like
Uh,
even with we have our knock L3s and they're less on the phones than we are. They're closer to network engineers. Like they work on deploying projects. But our network engineers are more so like on our they're on new site stuff, like not, they're on like, probably like that day two response team, but the network engineers are like, on site setting up new equipment, new setups, new deployments. And like, I just want to get to that level. I don't care about being on call. I just don't want to be, okay, I put this phone down one time, come ring back, put this phone up, ring back, like call after call, call. And I just don't want to get out of that.
it's like, the thing that sucks about help desk is not like, oh, that type of work is like demeaning or whatever. It's kind of like all you spend so much time answering the phone, you don't have any time to learn.
True.
Like you don't excel past the point where you are because all you do is answer help desk tickets. You don't do anything else besides that, unless
Exactly.
you try really hard.
Like, even with this role, I'm trying to move out the light a little bit more, see if I get something.
You're
Okay,
good now.
okay. So with the help desk role that I was in, like the first two, the Wellstar one, the one came from this role I'm at now,
Mhm.
it was like it was hard to focus on other stuff, and your leadership has to dedicate different tasks to you for you to be able to do that because it was micromanaged. It really was. It was micromanaged. Like you could not do anything else. If you needed to be, on your break at this time and you weren't on your break at that time, it's a problem. If you took too many bathroom breaks, it was a problem. And that just was just like, I need to get off the phones was my mindset. Like I need to get off of this thing that's tracking my time. Cause I could not, I can't do that. And then like even before then, this sticks with me so much. It's like I got told by a recruiter I would never get out of help desk. And I'm like, why would you tell somebody that, first of all?
A thing that really helps for me, well, there's two things. There's the type of help desk where you work for like an MSP, but there's also the type of help desk where you work for like a small firm. I am the latter. I work at a small firm, so I support uh, an internal base. So I only get calls internally. Also, having a home lab has helped me a lot, so I can just stuff my resume with stuff I've never done professionally. I've never touched like ZFS, Kubernetes. I've never touched that professionally, but I do it on my home lab. Same with like a lot of virtualization stuff. So
Okay, so home lab setup. What is your setup like? What devices do you consist of? Is everything virtual? How are you doing it?
oh god, this is this like an entry level? Are people like what level are your listeners at? How do I?
Consider my listeners as in like that college base, they don't know nothing about the real world. So consider
Okay,
it that.
I have I don't know if you probably somebody will probably hear it in the recording, but my server's whizzing away in the closet right now. All my servers are virtualized. I have a Cisco switch. My router's virtualized, so I have like VLAN trunking enabled. I have router on a stick, you know, blah blah blah. Uh, yeah, um, yeah. I have a private DNS server. I have a Pixie boot file server. What else? Woo, a lot of things.
You have a lot of things.
I have a lot of things. Some Docker containers, blah blah blah. It's basically like a little environment where I experiment and do things, but it also serves a practical purpose. I store my passwords locally on like a Bitwarden.
No, bit boarding.
It's like the LastPass, you know them?
LastPass. I know a
Yeah.
lot of places that like encrypt passwords, but I haven't heard of these.
Yeah, I'm surprised because a lot of YouTubers shill for LastPass and
Let me
like
be real with you.
uh,
I have lost my traction in labbing and
really.
learning new things. Yes, because like after high school, I really did like mentally went through a lot of things. I'm gonna be so real, mentally went through a lot of things. And then like even when I got the job, I got my CCNA and stuff while I was there. And I was like so focused on my mom was in an abusive relationship. So like I was so focused on like making sure all of that stuff was set to the point where I was just like, okay, I just need to make some more money. I just need to make money. I need to do this. I need to like, work these hours to do this. So I really like fall off from, labbing because I really do like labbing. I like getting that stuff set. But it was just so much in life that like messed me
I,
up.
I definitely when I got to high school, I was working, but I didn't do a home lab for a good a good while. I didn't set any of this up until I got my Security Plus in 2021. I believe
Last
so.
year.
Yeah. So after that, that's when it really started because I'd been working up that to that point a year, and I didn't do any certs. I didn't do anything crazy. I was just like, oh, whatever. I was severely depressed. Anyway, no, I just got back into it. It's hard to get back into it, but I started reading, and then everything I do serves a practical purpose. It's not just to get a cert. It's like I have my own. I stream my music from my house. I
Really?
yeah. There's a service thing called Jellyfin. You can stream your own music from your house. I store my own passwords. I want to start my own email server. What else? Oh, my VPN. So like when I'm away from work, I can do things that are completely legal and above. Um, yeah, all that type of stuff.
Okay, so yeah, you've been up, after you've gotten it all together. I feel like after high school for everybody was crazy.
It was bad. It was bad. Oh man, the person who I was with, we've broken up when the second semester of college, and it was like for my mental health. I didn't recover for like a year.
Ooh, look, I feel you on that. Basically same here. Um, After all that, it was just like, okay, even now, I'm like, all right, it's time to really put the time shoes back up and get it going. It is a lot comes with actually stepping into your career where I like that they're doing like the work-life balance is really important nowadays. Like I was a workaholic in high school. I would be at work either every other day if I could so I could make some money.
Did not sleep. I don't know how you did that. You'd come to school and you look dead. Like
I was tired almost like all the time, but even now, I'm doing 12-hour shifts. I hate 12-hour shifts. I do. That's why I'm looking. Yes, 12-hour
how much overtime
shifts.
do you clock in, bro?
It's not even overtime. Sometimes I do clock in early, clock in late, but it's not even overtime 12 hours because that's a normal shift. But like it is a terrible shift.
God.
Like I was like, I really want this position so bad, and that's all they offer, 12-hour shifts. And they have such a small team to where it's just like
So I
you
guess
need longer.
you
Hmm?
work like 3 to 4 days a week, right?
Like this week is my 4 days, the next week is 3 days. So it's like that rotation every 2 weeks, pretty much.
Jesus. You're a different breed, man. You definitely have been on your grind since high school. How do you do it?
I'm barely doing it.
Oh, jeez.
Like I realized like it's even though all my parents, my grandmas, all that stuff, they work 12 hours, I cannot continue to work 12 hours. I was just like, if they
It
can do
breaks
it, I can
down
do
it
it.
breaks down your body, man. It's not
It
good.
does. It
Yeah,
does.
like it sucks
Like,
to swallow you, bro. I never the one thing I told myself when I got out of high school, I'm not working retail, I'm not working in fast food. So yeah,
look, I
I'm like
said
I'm
the
not
same
doing
thing until I ended up at Walmart because I needed a job so bad. And I was like, okay,
desperation, you know, you
forget
gotta do it.
it.
I I just made sure like I'm like, all right, I can't be doing help desk because that was the thing that I knew was bad. As soon as I got out of high school, I'm like, I know this is I don't want to do this. So I do help desk right now, but
Yeah.
it's not it's like an internal user base. It's nothing crazy.
Do you get to go to like, different areas? Like when I interned at the sheriff office, it was system analyst, but it was just like, all internal helping people. But it was like you get to go in different areas, touch different things. Like that's what you're doing more so.
I do everything, yeah. Anything where I'm like, yo, I want to do this, my boss would be like, yes or no. A lot of the times it's no, but a good amount of the time is yes. And then he's like, oh my God, you did an amazing thing. I'm like, yeah, I told you. So yeah. Um, I learned like VMware there. I learned Docker a little bit there.
Oh, you
Power.
got a doctor there?
Yeah,
You got more
I learned it.
hands-on experience with it?
I learned it in my home lab primarily, but when I went to work, I'm like, okay, I kind of this is like useful, so I used it. Uh, yeah, just a lot of stuff pertaining to like an enterprise environment. One thing that's special about I encourage everybody to work part-time at least in some IT related thing if that's what you're into when you get out of when you start college. Because there's a lot of things in enterprise that you can't even comprehend their use. Like I had never touched Active Directory once in my life before I got to
Before
work.
enterprise?
Yeah,
Oh my,
we
yeah,
remember field
Active
guide.
Directory is heavy. Like that is a key, literally a key thing in any organization's Active Directory,
They don't teach it in college. They just
right?
don't. It's wild. Field was like, yeah, I'm gonna teach you Active Directory. Then he left. So, like, yeah, I didn't do any like I didn't do anything pertaining to like file systems, none of that stuff. I was like, oh, whatever, I don't need it. Because I legitimately did not need it until I got to work. I'm like, what's Active Directory? What's Exchange? What is this stuff?
And it's just like you realize how much of like the things that aren't being taught to you are key things in organizations that they need to like run properly.
One
So
cheat code is to run down job postings and look at the requirements and learn those things.
mhm.
I did that over the past 4 months. I started doing that.
Okay, so yeah, that's really smart because it's like even when you're in college right now or you're currently looking for a role, a lot of the stuff when it comes to NIT is pretty much a lot of majority of it's free. So if you have access to a computer, a phone, or whatever, you need to be learning. Period. There's no excuses. All free. Go on YouTube. Go search the internet for a particular like access to something, and you'll get it. You'll get it.
Even when we were like in fields class, he taught us a lot of stuff, but some of the stuff he just completely like skimmed over. Remember, he was like, I don't know if you remember. He's like, yeah, nobody really does virtualization. It's kind of slow.
He
Get out
did.
into the
I was
yeah,
about to say everybody is doing virtualization now.
everywhere, bro. They even have networks virtualized now, bro. Over in like AWS, they have like virtual private clouds, like everywhere.
You
Thing
have
is,
no, because there's one thing that I do want to say. Newcomers, if you're really stepping in anything cloud-based virtualized, it is hot.
Learn it.
Yeah. You'll be a key part in an organization if you know it. I'm just saying
Don't,
that.
we're not talking about VirtualBox. Like learn like VMware or look this up, KVM, whatever. AWS, definitely. Google Cloud Azure, all that stuff.
And what Azure is actually like, a lot of organizations use all three pretty much for like the main three: AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, or Azure, however people say it, Azure. But my bad. I'm like, I remember someone's name was like as in spelled like that, but Azure. Azure. So those three organizations will use pretty much all three. Even if they're really big Fortune 500 companies, they all three. I'm gonna just say it. They'll use all three.
That's probably the case because you don't really. If you're using the cloud at that point, you're supporting multiple user bases. I would assume they wouldn't just rely on one product. So
yeah. So if you learn one, you'll be useful, especially to some big organizations. For if you're looking, I really wanted to transition to like smaller firms. It seems like more hands-on. You're not dealing with just one issue. The day-to-day is different. And it became like you really have to be a jack of all trades to take on that, because once you're at a big company, they put you in a role and they make sure that you're learning more about that role, and they block you from others. And the communication from like group to group is
you won't even see the
terrible.
group. You won't even see,
Yes. And it's like, for me, I'm in the command center. So what comes that, it's like you're in there with different groups. Don't talk. Yeah, don't talk. So it's, they have an issue going on and they feel like, they can blame it on the network because everybody loves to blame it on the network. Y'all not gonna have no real conversation. It's like, I have this problem, y'all fault, fix it. It's just like, so
uh,
yeah.
yeah, I work in the opposite now, where it's just me and my manager. Like I said, it definitely comes with its downsides too, because people will just literally walk up to you and be like, "Hey, can you fix my laptop?" I had a guy walk up in my cube literally yesterday. Oh, hey, I'm having an issue with my personal laptop. Like what? Why are you
Personal
talking?
equipment is not supported by the company.
We've done it before because we just know them like that. So they were like, "Oh yeah, but I'm leaving next week, so I'm gonna be like, yeah, sure." And I'm gonna be like, he brings it to me. I'm like, "Can't really figure this out. I'm sorry." I'm gonna send it back to him. I don't care. Like,
No, like anything personal, I don't like being liable for stuff. I'm just like, I can't, this personal equipment, go take it somewhere else. This ain't the place to take it.
it's stuff where I'm gonna have to learn how to use it in order to fix it for you. So you know the common trope of like, "Oh, my printer's broken. Do you know what's wrong?" Like stuff like that. Stop asking me, bro. You touch a computer and you open up the command line. They're like, "Do you know how to fix my printer? Do you know how to fix my?"
Oh my, I hope you're having fun at your role. Like, what has been like one of your most common customer issues, or, main issues?
I would have to say password resets and disconnecting from VPN when they're at home. Consistent issues that will never go away. I don't know what it is. People just they forget to reset their passwords and they don't know how to connect to VPN when they're at home. It's very strange.
Password resets, I feel like our number one issue with this phone. It's like you really can't escape password resets.
I have no idea why. Like it'll come up. Email them. We can spam them. Your password will set in 5 days. Reset your password, and then they'll come back 6 days later. I can't log into my laptop. What's going on? Or sometimes they'll call you like a week after a reset because they haven't even connected to the internet. Like we have a lot of contractors, so they're often like places with satellite internet. So they're not even like worried about connecting to VPN. And they connect like a month later. They're like, "Oh, I can't log in." It's wild.
Oh my God. So, okay. I want to go into like the next thing is like your thoughts and concerns within the field. What are some changes you would like to be made, as you've gotten more experience and you've seen a lot more things happening, like what are some things you'd like to change?
Isn't that so weird? Since we're like, I assume you're like 21 and I'm 20, right?
Mhm.
That's so weird for us to say. I guess we're God tier. Jesus. Anyway, I'd like to see uh, a lot of the emphasis on learning in college shift away. I want to see like the culture around it shift, because the only thing that matters is the degree at the end of the day. So just get your degree and don't worry about anything else. Whether you get a C, don't even worry about it. And I'd also like to see more people with skin color in the field. I've interviewed a lot of people. I have not met one Black person yet.
Oh.
I've interviewed with like 6 places. I have yet to meet a single Black person. Not one. It's actually wild.
And it's crazy you say that. It's like there is things in place for diversity, inclusion at companies, and they love to promote that they're so diverse. And they never really are. I feel like the places that try to go hard on it are barely even there. And it's like you don't want to hire someone just for a you don't want just the diversity. Hire places, you want someone who can do the job. But I understand that there's judgment off the bat, even if they're diverse and they can do the job. So like, how are you ever going to get to that point?
Implicit bias, man. It can't even, because they're not aware of it. Like it's just automatically there. What's it called? It doesn't even just have to be Black people. It's always just white men, bro. All of them. It's wild. Not even women, just white men, all of them.
Like I realize
I'm
the
like,
further you go up, the more less colorful it is. If I could say, it just is what it is. Like I've been looking at places like organizing charts, and they don't ever show like the level 1 people on the ground type stuff. They always show the higher ups, and I just feel like, can I picture myself here? And no, no. So it's
I
like
look yeah. In managerial roles, we're like it's like abysmal. We're not even, it's not even close. It's just all white men. It's actually wild.
And I would say I can see a difference in the company that I'm at. Like I've noticed there are more, people of color in roles, and I also see them in more low-end managerial roles. Low-end managerial roles, like you're just like that supervisor to the L1 team or whatever. And even up, I do see more women like up there at the top, but the very top people like VPs, even the senior managers and all that it's just
It's just all white dudes. It's wild. Yeah.
yeah.
That systemic poverty is going a long way for us, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
like my whole thing is like I really want to go in the entrepreneurial route. I'm just getting into learn experience. Like I have my goal, I know what I want to do. I just know that I need hands-on experience. So I need to get to these people at the top so I can talk to them, just so I can talk to them to learn the in and out of the bigger picture for the business. Like even my I like to say, small piece in a big like picture. Like so I need to talk to the person who is literally over the big picture so I can easily take their information and put it to my own company that I want to have. So but it's hard when they separate it. Like there are some people that notice the pushing difference where they don't give you the time of day. And there are ones who, actually do speak to you no matter what your role is, which I appreciate those because those are the ones who I reach out to the most and I get the best information, best conversations from them. Just gotta be careful with whoever's who. So
It's weird, the people you talk to, the things that can happen for you afterward. You're like, yeah, it was a normal conversation, and then they call you back. They give you some job proposition, or they're like, I want to talk to you, or I have this offer for you. It's interesting. Yeah.
like what is it? Skipping the levels to just communicate with people has been pretty helpful. I would say, I always tell people don't be afraid to reach out to, those people who you feel like may not respond. It's never gonna, harm you to send a message, a respect message, so that way you can at least get some answers, some communication going. Um, I've been doing that a lot with the people that are surrounded by, just shooting a message, getting information. Like when I reached out to y'all, I was like, y'all are going to be on the podcast. I don't know what else to tell you. You're going to be on the podcast. So, welcome to Be Insightful in Technology. But when it comes to, getting in that role that you desire and knowing that you want to get to a higher position, talk to your higher ups pretty much. One thing that I've noticed, that I'm going to keep saying, that I heard like earlier last week, your income is dependent on the size of the problems that you can solve. And being in IT, you literally solve a lot of problems, and solve bigger problems get you the bigger income. So
Yeah, yeah. Although some some problems that people don't think are big, and then people who do solve big problems do get underpaid. I think a lot of help desk people they get paid dirt for no reason. I don't know why, but yeah, generally speaking, that is true.
like, honestly, the underpaying with help desk is just like, if your help desk team was to go away, what would y'all do? What would you do? Y'all would be in the ground, not running, because nobody can get their systems together.
Yeah, you would be the person answering the tickets, not some level 1, level 2. Like it would be you. Like
It's just like you're the one in the problem. So I'm like, do you even know how to solve it?
if everybody quit working at McDonald's, how is your what are you gonna eat after dinner? I mean, what are you gonna eat after work? Where are you gonna
Right? And it's just a lot of people, they say it, but I'm like, it's not realized to a point where there's a change in it. So
It's not their best interest.
mhm. So there's not much I can say there. But let's see. We talked about how you got into your role and what you did to get there. The next one was, how can others get to where you are? What piece of advice would you give people that are currently looking for their next position, or, to step into the IT field?
I guess our situation, I guess both of us, is unique to the average situation. Uh, find Since IT is so broad, find what you want to what you like to do, and then actively go and search that out. Play with it. There's a lot of popular things out right now. There's different fields. I don't know what you go by on the podcast. So Shy does networking. I do operations, broadly speaking. So like you could learn about Cisco equipment. You could learn about virtual networking in the cloud. Or for me, you could learn about Docker, Terraform, Kubernetes, stuff like that. Just learn what you want to learn, and then go look at job postings if that's what you're into. Look for, depending on what you're in your life, look for part-time or full-time, and then just strive to get what you want. Don't sell yourself short. Just try your best. Won't work out for everybody, but I think that will work for a lot of people.
It should work for a lot of people. I do say in certain areas, because when I started looking, I started being real specific this time around, because I was willing to take any and everything beforehand, but now I'm not. And the remote jobs will come if you're looking for those, and also things that are close to you. Sometimes you can actually go to small firms, or like, little coffee shops or areas, and just ask owners, if you have in touch with if you can get in touch with them, if they if you know enough, is what I say. If you know enough, you've been practicing, if you can like help on their equipment, like troubleshoot their equipment, ask them what their pain points are. The best way to actually get in somewhere is to be able to solve people's pain points. So that'd be a good, starter. Get that on your resume, get some hands on, and you've networked with some people. So
You're a
I
lot
want
more
to.
hands-on than I am. You're much more of a people person than I am. I'm in the weeds. I just go. I don't even talk to anybody.
I like to talk to people. I think that's why I'm getting into consulting a lot more, because I really enjoy the face-to-face, being in person. Well, I would say this is like the face to face I can get, but just this type of conversation flow is what I really enjoy. I realize how much I am an extrovert and I feed off people's energy. And I am trying to explore that in the role that I'm looking for. Honestly, because I plan to have my own consulting firm and I need to get in front of people. So what I'm doing. But being an introvert, there are definitely roles for you. And there's something for everybody in IT. So I really do feel like there's something for everybody.
Extremely broad. There are people who literally don't do anything but just manage people. They just manage projects, which is every field. But like, you just think about that. You're under the umbrella of IT, but you do no IT whatsoever.
Oh
So
yeah,
there's
project managers. I'm gonna bring on a project manager later on, and I want them to talk about, what they do because I realize project managers don't have to be technical. You just need to know like who to delegate tasks to.
literally, you don't need to be technical at all. It's so wild to me.
I feel like they know a little bit, but as long as they can communicate with each team effectively, they
Yeah,
seem pretty good.
I think their primary job is just to communicate with their, subordinates, and then communicate that to the people who don't understand like anything above them. Stuff like budgets, progress, stuff like that. That's probably their primary role.
And I ain't mad at them. I do a project manager role in a second if take my you see that money they be getting? Anyway.
Jesus Christ.
I am really money driven. I took like the DISC assessment and I realized I am really money driven because I money is the one thing I don't want to have to worry about. So I'm literally chasing it now. But I'm
Money
also
is
working on other things. Go
money is
ahead.
definitely my primary too, but I actually enjoy what I do, so it goes hand in hand. I'd say money beats it out by a pretty decent margin, simply because I don't want to live with my parents. uh, yeah, that may or may not have to end up happening depending on how this housing market goes. But
Mm,
yeah, so money is like, anybody who tells you like if you enjoy your job you'll never work a day in your life, they're lying to you.
they
Money is
are.
very important. uh, make money a very, very, very important decision based on where you live and what you want to do with your life, because no amount of I like what I do can put food in your mouth. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I really want people to understand that. And it's like honestly, we're young, like we're in college, fresh out of college. So money is one of those factors that can change your whole standpoint. So it changes like the further you go in life, like what your meaning, your purpose, what you're working for. So it's like if money is what you're driven by right now, don't lose sight of your morals. Don't lose sight of those though. But work towards gaining the money to sustain life, like even on the average salary or the average that people make, it's like what 40 50, but 60 isn't even sustainable for everyday life. So you have to get to that point where your lifestyle is livable and you're thriving, you're not just surviving. So
It's like it's just insane, how much you have to make to live on your own by yourself. And
mhm.
yeah, man, you just always have to. It's just something you have to consider, especially with us. We don't have any leverage, so really, you got to take what's going to give you the most experience, and you also have to get some that's going to feed, because you have to live, you have to survive. That's what I take into consideration, because I couldn't. The lowest I could go, and I realized for what I'm doing, this isn't even in the range. It's below the range. The lowest I could go is 60K out of college, because that's a livable amount. But yeah, then I realized it pays above that. So I was like, oh, I can start trying to ask for that. And yeah, I started to shift how I viewed money, shift how I viewed how my skills can make money for me. And I went in that direction. It's a mix, definitely, since we have no leverage. You can also work somewhere that pays you super low, get experience from that, and then go from there. I've seen people have stories like that. You could go from like 60K to 100K in like 2 years. So it's not the
Yeah,
end of the world.
it's pretty fast to grow in IT. Like you don't have to stay where you are. It really is. Like people come in, get experience for like a year, go out. So yeah. Yeah. Last thing, we're getting to the end. Your motivating, insightful quote that you would like to, let those listening hear what's been pushing you through, something you keep in mind on your day to day, or at least every once in a while when you get to that, what is it, the down peak, wherever it is, I can't remember. But what is something that has been insightful, motivating for you?
Uh, I don't have any quotes, but I'll make one up on the fly. So act like we're in a fairy tale. I love that. Life should be. uh, yesterday is built on. Today is built on yesterday. So do your best today. So tomorrow you can build on what you did today. Always do your best and do what you can to make your life better. Because if you're even watching this right now, if you're in America, I guess there's always, well, not always. There's there's a statistically likely chance that you have the ability to get yourself out of your situation somehow. Even especially if you're interested in IT, you can work in help desk, work your way up, even if you have no skill whatsoever. So always do your best.
Oh, I really appreciate you. Oh yeah. So are you gonna drop your LinkedIn where they can find you? I'll make sure that I include the link.
You can put it in the description. I am off the radar. I really don't put my face on social media except for LinkedIn. So yeah.
All right. Well, I'll make sure I include the link. But this is Sam Foster, one of my old friends from high school. Really, really smart guy, really cool. And I want to make sure that I check in with you a lot more because I'm gonna need some tips myself.
It's all good.
But there we go. So thank you guys for listening. I'm Shikirah Johnson, the host of today's podcast, Be Insightful in Technology, helping you get knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be insightful. And also check the show notes to get the information for today and some other cool links, and also some free months off of Skillshare. So that has also been a really good tool to use to get some IT knowledge, and it's fairly cheap, like $13 a month. If you sign up with my affiliate, you'll get a month off, and you experiment learning some Python, even some Linux admin stuff, even some networking, what I'm seeing. So hope you guys have a good day, and check in later every Thursday for the podcast.